Well, hello again. I'm getting ready to strip the front surface of this next headlight bucket. I'm not going to go into all, like what I did on the last one, but I'm not sure what this really means. It says premium paint and epoxy remover. Epoxy remover. This is glued on with epoxy. It's JB Weld metal, steel impregnated epoxy. So I don't think this stuff would remove that, but you never know. Well, there's the first application, and I made sure to get some on this epoxy where I put that washer in. Well, why'd you do that? It might come off. Well, that's what I want to find out. Well, we've run into a little problem with this second headlight bucket. The backside worked out good. I, primed it, painted it, put the undercoating on. It looks great. But, unfortunately, when I stripped this other side down, before I did all this stuff under here, when I stripped this down, there was some kind of a filler put in at the factory. This is factory filler here. So apparently when they stamped it out, it didn't come out right. So I'm going to have to get some sandpaper. When I started, wire brushing the rust off and everything, or getting some of the paint loose, I scratched into that. I did not know it was underneath there. So I'm going to have to sand this thing down as smooth as I can before I apply my primer. Bummer. Well, I'm making a little bit of progress. I'm a little bit better at doing this type of stuff than I am welding. It could be that this car was in a different fender bender at a different time. I don't know. It may not be factory after all. So all I got to do is continue feathering this out. I'm just using, what am I using? I don't even know. It's just a mild grit. And then I got some really smooth stuff here. And it's on the inside as well, see? Actually, I knew things were going too smooth with these buckets. This was going to be a pain. I'm going to have to resand all of this here. Some of the stuff, I don't know what it is, but it lifted up off after I had it all cleaned and everything, and I'm going to have to resand it, which is not a problem. And glazing compound, as you can see right here, I've got a few holes, not exactly smooth the way it should be. So I had some glazing compound and one of these little scraper things for applying it. And this stuff here is for filling pinholes, cracks, minor dings and hairline cracks. Use on metal, fiberglass, wood, and sanded primer and paint. Everything a man could dream of. Well, not everything. All of these spots you see in here are all high points. I guess pot metal is molded. This looks like mold problems when they made them. And when I sprayed them with primer, you can see all the little bumps popping up. So I went over them with sandpaper all over this entire thing. They were everywhere. And got them as smooth as I can get them. Then I'll go ahead and prime them again. There was some more over here. You could just feel them with your thumb. And we only had a few over here, a couple over here. I was able to get them nice and smooth. And but that's about as smooth that I'm going to get that. I mean, that's pretty smooth right now. See, that's metal. And then I'm going to wait for our glazing putty or our finishing putty or our spot putty, whichever you want to call it, to dry. It dries quickly. And you only put it on very, very thin. You take you squeeze up just a tiny bit out of the tube. It's to fill in little spots and holes and cracks and things like that. It's not to fill. It's not used for large body filling. And you just kind of put a little on there, put a little, keep it in the center of your blade. Then wipe it again, just gently. You're not doing that business. You're just going to kind of put it on gently, and then I'm going to sand it all down from here to there. And if it needs another coat, I'll do it. That's what's good about this stuff. You can put 10 coats on until you get it right. Well, this looks a whole lot better now. Nice and smooth all the way around. The end down here where that thing was is all good to go. We're in good shape. Everything is smooth all the way around. Took a lot of work, but we got her. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and just put a light coat of white on. Well, that's done. That'll help the Wimbledon white cover, much easier, like we did with the last one. And I'm going to let it dry all night. And then pick this up tomorrow and go ahead and put the Wimbledon white on. In the meantime, I've got a couple of stories to tell you. For those of you who don't know who Brenan is, he's been my mentor for many years. We became friends when I restored a Sylvania Halo Globe Television years ago. He chimed in, introduced himself, said he knows all about TVs and all that. And, you know, he's also helping with electronics in general, not just televisions, and cars. He knows everything. He used to be a HVAC guy, and you name it, he's done it. And he got out of bed here almost a month ago. You know, he's not a young man. He's about a year and a half older than I am, and I'll be 77 soon. So he's been around a while. He's owned over 300 cars in his lifetime. Can you imagine that? I almost fell to the floor when he told me that. That's how he knows a lot about cars. He used to be a stock car racer up in Detroit. He's from the Detroit area. Anyway, he got out of bed. He had a cramp in his leg. And I guess he was trying to shake it out, you know, kicking his leg and shaking it out, twisting it and stomping or whatever. And he lost his balance and over he went and he broke his arm right here. And he pulled it down, put it in place himself, got in the car and drove to the emergency room. And they said, well, they just said, it looks good. They put it in a sling and sent him home. No cast, no anything. So he said, I must have done a good job realigning it. Must have been a nice clean break. You know, not a lot of pieces and parts sticking, you know, around in there. Anyway, he was in a lot of pain up until recently. He's probably still in some. And he went back for a checkup here a couple days ago with the doctor. And I guess, like I said, it's been almost a month. And they said, okay, you can take your arm out of the sling. Just be careful. It's healing nicely. So good for him, you know. I told him, I said, you know, Brenan, you did that, trying to get rid of that leg cramp all wrong. You know, next time, just stand up in the middle of the bed and start doing jumping jacks. Andy lives up in Seattle, Washington. He contacted me, I guess about 2.5 years ago. I think he sent me an email. And he said, hey, I got a couple of Thunderbirds, and you can put them on your you know, I used to highlight Thunderbirds. The guy would send me a picture of his Thunderbird, a little story. People kind of like that, you know, all around the country and overseas as well. And Andy contacted me. He was 18 years old. He had a couple of T-Birds, and I think they were 64s. Might have been a 65. I don't remember. It was a flare bird. He had 2 of them, and they were really rusty. And he said, I'm going to make 1 out of the 2. He had just finished high school, and I was looking at those cars, and I said, well, you know, it can be done. You know, that's good for him. I'm glad he's going to pick up the challenge. Well, he contacted me a few months later, and he said, well, I can't do it. I don't have the ability, the time, or I guess the necessary tools. And he said, it's just, the cars are really, really rusty. He said, I'm going to sell them. But he did tear down 1 car. One of the Thunderbirds, he tore down the interior, and I think he tore the engine apart, and pulled the heads and manifold and all that stuff. And he said, I'm going to get rid of the cars. Do you need any parts? I said, well, yeah, I need some parts. He said, all right, send me a list. So I did. And I didn't hear from him again for, oh gosh, I guess it was a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And then I'd hear coming, I figured he just didn't want to mess with it anymore. And here come another email. He said, okay, I've got the parts. I told him, I said, just let me know what you want to send, and I'll send you the money. You pick and choose from the list whatever you want to send. Because he had the parts all over his garage, you know. That's the way it's done, you know. He runs shelves and carburetors and all kinds of things. And so I said, tell me how much you want. Tell me what you're going to send, and or I'll just wait till it comes in, and we'll work out a deal. He said, well, it's not going to cost you anything. I said, no. You know me, I'm not going to, I don't like handouts. Never have. I avoid handouts like COVID, okay? They're just not me. It's just, I will never take a handout. I always try to pay for my way through life. Anyway, after, you know, I guess about another few weeks went by, 2 or 3 weeks, and he said, okay, the stuff, I'm sending it out, and this long box came in. I did a video on it a while back on Odyssey. I think it was Odyssey. It was number 125, I think it was. Anyway, long box, smaller box, and there was all this really neat stuff in there. And I'll be showing you some of the stuff at a later date. And I said, well, if you don't want me to pay you for them, how about I just pay for the shipping? I mean, the shipping was like $150, $160. all the way from Seattle. He said, no, 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 no. Now, he was an 18-year-old guy, you know, just graduated from high school, getting ready to start college. I guess he'd already been in college by the time he said it. And he just wouldn't hear of it. So he said, you know, you've done a lot of videos and all this stuff. So I'm thinking, you know, so I got back to him. I said, okay, let me make you a deal. Let me make you an offer. I sent him a video. And I said, here's the deal. I will pay you $350 for everything. And then I will take that money and donate it to various charities where I live in your name. How about that? Is that not just one charity, but I'll divide it up. I'll divide, and you know, between now and the end of the year, each month I'll go to it, find a charity, and we'll give it the money. He said, okay, that sounds great. Well, you know, one of the charities I donated to was a place called the Soul Food Cafe, which is here in Conway, and you know, they feed the hungry. If you blow into town, you don't have any money, you're hungry, you go see the Soul Food Cafe. They got this enormous warehouse, enormous, and they will give you a haircut and some clothes and do whatever they can to help you out. And if you, let's say your house burnt down and you need a wash machine, you got kids, you know, you need a wash machine, dryer, you need a refrigerator, stove, and all that. They have those things in that warehouse. They just give them to you. They just give them to you. And of course, you know, people that donate there, they have to make sure that these appliances work. They don't take junk, you know. I mean, it's quite an operation. It started out small. It's just enormous. Walmart takes trucks of stuff over there every month, stuff that won't sell or stuff that they no longer plan to keep in the store. They just take it there and they unload it. Oh, big operation. I was really impressed. So I donated some money in Andy's name. I told him, I just told him there was a guy named Andy who lives 2,300 miles away. They were impressed by that. That's all I told them. And I sent them a video of me giving them the check. Now I did that all the way to the end. Even our local animal shelter got a little money out of that deal. So, you know, and each time I sent them a video. And Andy was very happy to hear about that Soul Food Cafe because he said he and his dad volunteered their time at this an outfit similar. I guess they go down once a month, spend some time down there. I don't know what they do. They cook or clean or help unload trucks. I don't know what they do. He didn't go into the detail, but he said he and his dad, you know, volunteered to do that sort of thing. So they were very happy, both of them, to see that I gave that money to them. But there were other charities as well, until the $350 was exhausted. So after that, this is going to be a longer video than usual, because I think it's necessary. After that, Andy wound up in Australia. He spent 6 months over there, going to school, and he finally came back to Seattle, which he is now home again. He said he's embarrassed to say he just got homesick. Nothing to be embarrassed about there. Not everybody wants to be at home, you know. I've been in a lot of foreign countries, I can tell you. There's no place like home, okay? Anyway, he comes back, and he had no Thunderbirds or anything to work on. However, a family member had a car that they were trying to restore, and they just didn't have the time, I guess. And so they gave him the car to finish. I guess they sold it. I don't know if they gave it to him or sold it. They passed it on to him, was the way Andy put it. And when he contacted me, he says, I got a new project car. And he said, I'm putting in the gas. It needs a new gas tank. I'm putting it in now, and it needs brakes. He said, I'll be working on that. And he sent me some photographs, and I got to tell you, I'm envious. I am very envious of Andy's new project car. I told him that too. I said, man, I'm jealous. And here it is. That's right, 1965 Plymouth Sport Fury. I mean, give me a break. Is this a pretty car or not? Nick Pepe, P-E-P-E, lives out in Colorado. He is the Vintage Thunderbird repair channel owner, and Nick and I have been conversing back and forth for a couple of years now. And he said to me, I guess a year and a half ago, he said, are you going to go to the Vintage Thunderbird Club International Convention up in Kansas City this year? And I said, well, I was thinking about it. And I said, you know, why not? He said, I'll be there. He said, I've got a dash for your '66 Thunderbird that I'll bring along, and you can have it for free. I said, well, I don't want it for free. No, 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 it's yours. He says, in good condition, no problem. You know, the little cleanup is all it needs. Well, I couldn't believe that. I mean, my dash is wrong. He had seen where I showed the dash all split and messed up, and I was constantly thinking about, how am I going to fix this, you know? And, well, I went up to the convention, and Nick, he comes all the way up from Colorado, and I meet him at the convention. He says, I forgot your dash. I said, what? You forgot the dash. You enticed me here and forgot the bait, right? So he said, yeah, but no problem. Luck is on our side. I said, well, what's that? He said, we have an auction here. Every time we have a convention, we have an auction. And people bring things in to sell. I don't know where the money goes, charity or something. He said, there's a dash in there for a '66 Thunderbird. I said, are you serious? You know, that's luck, you know. Me and luck, we just go hand in hand. That's been my whole life. And except for when I was younger, things weren't so well. But once I broke away from that, everything went fine. But he said, I put a bid in for that dash for $10. He said, if I win that dash, I'm going to give you that one just to make up for having forgot the other one. I said, well, you don't have to do that. No, just don't worry. He said, no, I want to do it. I said, okay. You know. Well, lo and behold, he won a brand new dash. Well, not a brand new. He won a dash in perfect condition for $10. And here it is. And there's not a problem with it. No cracks, no breaks, no anything. All I got to do is repaint the top surface. Right now it's all black. I have to repaint the top surface black and Wimbledon white, because that's the color that's on the one I'll be removing from the car. I mean, this is good stuff, huh? He gave that to me free of charge. Anyway, when the time comes, I will be ripping and tearing the dash out. My grandson James, who helps me with my car, our Thunderbird, actually, our Thunderbird, he's helped me work on it so much. He's in the Air Force. He's been deployed again next month to the Middle East. He'll be over there for 6 more months. And he'll be in the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. He's been all over the Middle East in the last couple of years. And so he'll be there for 6 more months. And then before he goes, he's going to help me get that dash out, because it's pretty heavy. And I want to do it without pulling the steering wheel. You know, the steering wheel's in bad condition anyway, but I'd rather just leave the steering wheel where it's at, get the dash up over the top of it. The two of us can do that. One of these. So I suppose I could do it, but it's pretty heavy. You know, I don't want to take any chances. The whole inside of the car is gutted, so I don't know what it would break or anything. But I'd rather have him on one end, me on the other. I don't want to break my arm like somebody we all know now. Well, that's it. One last thing I want to tell you. I won't be back for about a month. The winter's coming, and I've got some things I've got to do around the house that I have been procrastinating, just putting off and putting off and I got to stop that. I got to hunker down and get it done. So I'll see you probably around the middle of October, maybe a week later than that. I don't know. So until then, until next time, this is John. One more thing. John up in Ohio, Vermillion, Ohio, who has the Thunderbird Wrecking Yard up there that he works at, and he sells parts. I covered it, I think, in the last video or one before that. He said he wanted to say thank you to all of those who have contacted him and bought parts. He said it was very nice of you to do that, and he said he's had great response. And I said, man, I'm real happy to hear that. He called me on the phone, talked to me about it. He said he was very impressed, you know, that there were a lot of people that would trust him and put faith in him to provide them parts at reasonable prices. So he wanted me to pass that on, and I just did.